guys, I'm Deepa and welcome to today's episode of OmMade Kitchen. And guess what guys? It's that day. It's Deepa Mac Day! Chipotle mac and cheese, Deepa Mac. So, all of you guys who've been asking for my mac and cheese recipe, here you go. It's also the base recipe for a lot of different sauces and dips, so I'm super excited to share. I did a little bit of prep work, but with the magic of editing, we're gonna make it really quick and easy to have all the step-by-step instructions to have your own Deepa Mac. Let's go. If you're gonna be making mac and cheese, you definitely wanna get your water boiling. And once again, we're gonna be making our sauce in the blender. I do recommend not using a food processor, but using a blender so you get a nice, rich, creamy sauce. The food processor will leave it a little chunky. Now, if, say you were doing this cheese sauce as more of a dip base, and you wanted to do cheese dip, then you could use a food processor and it would give you more of a chunky, dippy-like texture. Once the stove is on, we're gonna add soaked cashews. Now, you may have seen in the Alfredo recipe, what we did was we just took about 1.5 cups of raw organic cashews and we heated up some water and just covered the cashews with water in a jar for about 10-15 minutes, and they kind of fluffed up nicely like this. They'll become softer and easier to blend. And then we're gonna add some carrots and onions. I'm gonna put the configurations in, but what I did was I just roasted them at 350 degrees for about 40 minutes. Now, if you don't feel like roasting, you can saute the carrots to get them soft, or steam them, or even boil them, and it will be a faster method. However, I think roasting really brings out the flavor of the vegetables and makes the cheese sauce have a really good deep flavor. So these have been cooled and I'm gonna take them, bring them over here. I'm adding some oat milk to cover almost up to the top. So maybe about 2 to 2.5 cups. And now we're gonna add the seasonings. Mac and cheese, obviously gotta have some garlic powder. Now, if you're not a fan of garlic, you can omit it, but I think it adds a really nice flavor. So I'm gonna add a hefty 1/2 teaspoon. And although it already has onions, I am gonna use about 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. And then about 1/2 teaspoon of ground mustard seed. And actually, it's probably gonna be, for this amount of cheese, we're gonna actually probably use a full teaspoon. Now, generally when I'm cooking, I don't actually use measuring spoons. I generally just kind of give it a shake here, a pinch there. Again, going back to that idea of intuitive cooking and trusting, I can give you base recipes, but ideally, like, the idea is for you to be able to become comfortable enough that you're cooking just from what your body needs and also knowing what spices go well together. Now, again, I'm using black salt for this recipe. I usually use black salt in most of my cheese recipes that really want to bring out a good flavor in, but you can use any kind of salt. None of the other veggies or anything else is salted, so that's where all the salt is coming from. And now we're gonna do nutritional yeast. We're gonna not use a measuring spoon, but I'm gonna say we're gonna be doing about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of nutritional yeast, and then about 1 capful to 2 capfuls of apple cider vinegar. The apple cider vinegar allows the cheese sauce to have that little bit of mouthfeel, and I don't even know what to call it. Maybe that's the best description for umami, but it gives it that little bit of mouthfeel. Now, this doesn't have any spice in it. This is where you get to choose. You could add paprika, you could add chipotle, you could add cayenne. I'm gonna add just a little bit of simple black pepper. Just for today, I'm thinking just a touch of chipotle powder. So I'm gonna give it about 3 or 4 shakes of chipotle powder, not too much because it'll get really hot quickly. Chipotle is spicy, but it also has a great smoky flavor. So we wanted to just kind of bring out that smokiness. And now we're gonna give it a blend, blend, blend. Don't forget, when you're using the blender, time to infuse it with a little extra love. So before we try the sauce, the pasta water is ready. This time I'm gonna be using a red lentil penne. And again, it's the salted water. We're gonna go back and try the sauce. I can taste that little bit of heat at the end with the chipotle, and it's got a nice salty flavor. You can actually taste the black salt. I'm gonna flip the spoon around and give it one more try, make sure. Okay, I think we've got it, guys. The thickness of it is a little thick, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little tiny bit more of the nut milk. So it'll be maybe about 2 3/4 cups for the amount of veggies we used and the amount of cashews. Give it a quick blend again. Now the pasta is ready. And the great thing about this recipe is that it's gonna make enough for you to basically probably do about 2 batches, or save this, put it in the fridge, and make nacho cheese sauce, which I will share that recipe with you coming up soon. It's creamy without being heavy. It's got tons of flavor. Plus, there are a million ways to make mac and cheese. This just happens to be one of my favorite recipes and one of the cleanest recipes that I make. I have probably about 15 or 20 different versions of mac and cheese that I make, but this one seems to be a really popular one. And if you don't like spice, leave out the chipotle, add a little bit more black pepper. If you like yours more garlicky, feel free to add garlic. Change it up, get exciting, throw some veggies in the mix, or just enjoy a bowl of the classic mac and cheese. Don't forget always to add the secret ingredient, love.